Howdy y'all, Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee, and I am on the scene of my new sign that you have seen. It can be believed, but it cannot be completed quite yet. One of the problems with doing such a big build so early on the server, I keep running out of gravel and netherrack and glass. I've got sand and I've got netherrack cooking inside of my ovens there, but while that all stews and we get the material to color in the rest of these panels, I wanted to do a little bit of work on the typography today, because we do have the sandstone we need to get started on that. So we will go ahead, look at this, sandstone, this is a good start. We are modeling the letters for this off of some smaller scale letters from last season's Sea Cow Bay sign. And even though that had the letters S-E-A, C-O-W, and B and Y, it did not have the letters that we need for our Red Sky Bay sign, the R, the D, and the K. So I have begun development in my typography lab here of a prototype R, a prototype D, and there will soon be a prototype K. Now, I'm not sure that I'm going to keep the exact typographical specifications of the original sign in all regards, but you know what, we at least have an S to work from, and that I can modify as I go. Whereas like a K and the R, I got nothing, man. I'm like just this like leaf on the wind and you're watching me soar, but you kind of think it's not going to end well. So maybe we should see how that goes. Anyway, what I'm thinking is on the final sign, they'll ultimately be sandstone blocks. Well, I'd love to do the quartz, but I don't have it. So we're going to start with sandstone. As I get richer on the server, maybe we'll expand it out later. But what I figure right now, we'll have sandstone blocks for the letters backed by torches. Now, you might be saying, Joe, torches are not a universally recognized currency. How is that smart? And you know what? It makes sense because this way the letters are evenly colored in. You can see them. It's great. It's not great. It's going to be okay. Long term, I'm going to have nether lanterns, I think, or possibly glowstone or sea lanterns or something in here. But just honestly, we're not there yet as a server, and I think it'll be cool to see how this sign evolves over time. But you know what? It's not over time. It's the main event, and we got to get going. We got to get these letters underway. You know, we got to be like that kid who don't play something vanilla ice. I'm rapping while in my cage that is cubic. I'm trapped typographically. Got to place these letters liturgically. No, that doesn't quite see what I mean. Okay. Bad, terrible, bad. Don't love it. Passable. Boo, terrible. Okay. So we have prototypes of an R, a D, a K, Romeo, Delta, and a Kilo. And I don't like any of them. The D I think I'm the most happy with, but let's be honest, this kind of symmetry across the horizontal plane here is just not gonna do it. This is not an interesting K. A good letter should have a little bit more variation, and we can do that two ways here. We can have this go up like this more. Whoops. Possibly like having this come down. Like so. Boo. Even worse. Terrible. Or we can bring this up or have it kind of vary somehow. So like, for example, if we used a stair, the equivalent of a stair block here, and a stair block here, and did the same right here, I think that could be a pretty good K. Even though it does have the same symmetry we saw before, it's not quite as awkward. It's a little more svelte. But you know what? Here is where, even though we have a better solution, like these lines feel so much thinner than these strong lines here. So let's take a quick look at that. Maybe the solution here is to have one of these on the bottom have the kicker there. Or maybe we entirely remove one of these. Like, if we just got rid of that, that's not clearly a K. Not at all. Dang it. K's are hard. Let's go R'ing. Okay. So one thing that we can do is we can learn from different letters how to solve problems on other letters. Our D needs to work with our R, and our K needs to work with our D, and all together. So we know we want to keep the too wide lead block here. This line should be thick to match the typography of the original sign. But this kicker here should look like this kicker here for optimal kind of parody? I don't know. I'm not Weird Al. So I think I like the R a little bit better now. It's kind of awkward. I'm thinking it might work well if we went ahead and just tossed this up here like so. So that way, if we did want to cut in here like this, it's not quite as awkward. And we could even... No, I think that might be where we want to leave it. Well, that kind of looks like... If you think about it, though, if this is a letter P with a foot, which, I mean, an R is more than that, but that says letter R to me, but not as clearly as this. That is more clearly an R than an A, just because of the way it's rounded. And the R and the D kind of complement each other a little bit better, but we have not solved our K issues. This is, if you were going to measure this by the kilo, we would have kilotons of trouble. So, undesirable letter forms disengage from cease your activity. You know, no matter what angle I look at it from, that K just plain looked better when we had this stair block rotated this way. This is a good letter K, and that was a bad letter K. And it's not always super straightforward to know the difference between the two, but sometimes you know it when you see it. And this letter D that I wasn't so happy with before, now that I'm kind of seeing it in relation to the two others, I don't really mind it quite as much. I feel like if I made the space inside the D larger, that might look good on its own, but the small space inside the letter R and the complementary square space inside or under the K here just kind of adds a lot to it. It makes this feel like one unified typeface. Now, I'm not a design school trained letterer, but I have seen a few give talks, and I feel like in terms of first principles, this is going to obey enough of them that we're not going to be like regretting this later. So, in addition to, if we're actually going to spell Red Sky Bay though, we're going to need a lot more letters. I played with the S a little bit, trying to make it look a little bit S-ier, but a little less 5-y. And I'm not sure how well I succeeded. You know, if I put another block right here, that's just going to be too much. That now it looks like it's like a monster it's like a G that's going to eat you. Grr. Nobody wants that. So, we should really see, though, how these letters read on an actual diagonal. Because it's all fun and games, you know, until somebody has to put a sign on the outside of that purple, or this pink, or this blue. So, if you look at it from outside here, on the boat, you'll see kind of the approach that I'm going to be taking. Hey there, baby zombie. Hope you're having fun still. R will go up here, E, D, and then I figure the S, K, Y will go on those two. I'm not going to put any letters on this one, and then B-A-Y across there. Originally, I wanted to have all the letters on all four sides, so like this side at the bottom would say Bay all the way around, but I realized looking at this that people would say like R-E-D, S-K-Y, S-K-Y, B-A-Y. They'd be like, Red Sky Sky Bay? That's a dumb name for that. Don't name it that. So I'm thinking just R up here, E-D. Boom. Simple enough. Now, why don't we go up here and actually experiment a little bit with what those letters are going to look like when they are rotated diagonally. The E we see down here is not actually going to be adjacent to the S in the sign. The reason it's here is so we can look at it while we put it right here. Now I'm going to put the torches in all the places that I would have the letters be on top of, and I'm going to make sure not to fall down here because I haven't placed all the red glass I want. You'll see the tops of these exposed areas are all going to be red glass, and the bottoms of the exposed areas are all blue. I wanted to have the kind of Red Sky Bay theme. It made sense, okay, red at the top, and then bay at the bottom, so that'd be blue. Let's go ahead and toss these extra torches up here like so. And these will just really simplify getting everything else in. So we're going to take this boat way over here as far as we possibly can. Straight into the lava. Just kidding, no. I want to see that E. Boom, look at that. That diagonal E actually looks kind of like an E. It might not be perfect in every way, but you know what? When it's next to the R and the D, I think it'll look even better. Yeah, this should turn out all right. So, next letter. I've got the first 3 letters in there, and I'm thinking they're looking pretty good. Now, from some angles, they don't necessarily look so good, but they definitely read from the intended line of sight that one would be approaching this from, which is through this inlet. So I'm willing to call that a victory, even if it gets a little bit shakier. If you kind of come over this way, it's just not quite as clear. But maybe I like having this kind of come into focus as you shift past it. But in the meantime, I'd like to add more letters. However, I find myself running short on sandstone. I know you guys are saying, there's no way, Joe. There's no way you're running out of sandstone. Well, there is a way, and believe it. And that way is called just using a lot of sandstone on things. It's a lot less complicated than you'd think. Step 1, use a lot of sandstone. Step 2, underestimate the amount of sandstone that you should have needed. Step 3, wonder if you should start doing things after the estimates. Step 4, create silly lists. Don't actually address the problem. So, we're going to go ahead and try to actually address the problem by gathering some of this sandstone here. That is, oh, hey, squid. Hey, squid. Where's my... Dang it, there it is. Cool. So we've got our sandstone blocks here. In order to actually make more letters, we need a lot of sandstone blocks, though. So from up close, the letters definitely look the weirdest, but you know what? That's fine. I think I have time before I wrap up this episode to just knock out one more real quick. I want to knock out the letter S on the next line. I would have loved to do all of these today, but you know what? If I'm trying to maintain a schedule of having a few of these up a week and whatnot, I just got to reach a point where I say, hey, you know what? Have I gone too far? I've gone far enough. Okay. So let's go ahead and just get these letters into place, get these torches underway. And that's it. That is an S. It might not be the best S or the S'est, but I think it was going to be maybe S'er than some of the other ones that folks have lying around. It's definitely not a 5er. Am I going to be directly over land if I break this? No, I'm not. Yay. Victory. Alright. That's the zombie boat. Okay. I was like, why am I taking damage? Because I'm being slapped by a zombie with bread in his pocket. Or in his hand. Dang it. Okay. That was not an optimal boat. Okay. So let's go ahead and get further out here. Ooh, I'm not sure, just from that quick glance I got, how well that's going to look. Yeah, so with the SKY it might be more legible, but so interestingly, even though the RED looks best from back there, the S will look best, whoops, dang it, from over here. Which makes me think that I might even want to consider putting the SKY on the orange one here, but somehow facing it. Oh, I could put them on an even steeper angle and have it facing out this way. How would that work? That would get pretty weird pretty quick, but because I think that I don't have all 8 blocks facing this way, like, it would end up being compressed. Although, no, technically I would. Well, that's a very interesting problem to have, I'll give you that. But yeah, I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, if I did it on this one facing out that way, it would look weird. And if I switched the angle, it would look weird. So one option I have is to not angle the letters as much as I've angled the blocks. And just have the outward face of the letters be flat, but have them sink into the blocks here. So if we leave this S, have it continue to like get thicker as it gets further away. Let's try that real quick. I think we have time for that. That S is definitely more readable. And doing the same with the R, E, and D for consistency's sake will level that out. I guess what I would do on this bottom level then is have that be an average of 3 thick, because these will range from 2 to 4 thick. Huh, yeah, that's gonna just get us the clearest, like, viewability. Well, I'm running low on sandstone in order to get everything done, so if I want to finish the D out there, I'm gonna have to just destroy the D in here. You know what? This is a lab, though. This is where we experiment, not where we manufacture. And experiments, once complete, we want to recycle the materials as much as we can safely do so. Now, obviously, any sharps are going to go in the sharp container, but we can occasionally reuse stuff like that. And thanks to our reclamation of the sandstone from the D below, we can now finish the D up here, which I believe if I jump outward far enough from the top of this S, I should be able to hit that boat. Almost. Dang it. Well, with my boat mastery achieved, I figure I'll row out this way and see how much more legible the letters are. They might not be as visually impressive in some ways, but let's give them a read. Legibility-wise, that is a clear win. There is nothing about those that is harder to read than before. And the way that they cut out of the cube is still visually interesting. It doesn't give the impression that the cube is actively turning. It looks like the cube is fixed in place, and that the letters are kind of on top of the slices or mounted onto the fixed slices. But you know what? It's legible. Somebody can read that and say, yeah, that's Red Sky Bay. And then they'll know, hey, Joe Hills made that, because obviously only he would bother to spend this much time on this sort of thing. So, speaking of this sort of thing, let's give it another look from this angle back here. So let's say that I'm Mumbo, and I'm coming from this way. So, okay. Let's get into Mumbo's mindset. Oh, hello, Mumbo Jumbo here. I've just devised a new type of drone, and I'm flying my drone this way. Whoa, what is that up there? It says Red Sky Bay. Actually, it says Red Essie. I probably need the rest of the letters now that I think about that. But this would say Red Sky Bay to someone who came through here. Also, this island has to go. You know, the only reason this island has not been demolished, destroyed, just wiped off the map, is because right now I still need it to have this little Welcome to Red Sky Bay sign. But let me tell you something, sign. Your days are numbered. The future is coming up behind you. And you're not going to turn around in time. Until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep adventuring.